Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another Target Jobs webinar. Today, we're going to be exploring the different options that you can take after university, and if you don't choose to go straight into your career, how you can use the soft skills that you learn to land your graduate role. We're joined today with Emma from Kubrick and Karen from Explore Learning. And what I will do is I will just pass over to the two of them in a second to kind of introduce themselves. But first of all, I just want to kind of say, if you have any questions at all, either in general or specifically for Karen or Emma, do pop them in the question box. When we get to the end of the webinar, we'll go through those and make sure everybody gets their questions answered. So let's begin. So Emma, do you want to kind of introduce a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you work?
Absolutely, yeah. Hi everybody, really nice to be here. So yeah, my name's Emma. I work at a company called Kubrick Group. Some of you may have heard of us. I'm sure a lot of you probably haven't. But we, in short, are a data and AI consultancy, and we recruit a lot of graduates each year, around 800 each year. So lots of opportunities here, which I'm sure we'll get on to a bit later. But my job here is to head up our talent acquisition team. So we are the team that get all of those consultants into the business each year, making sure that they have a good experience and we find the best people. So yeah, my background, I've always worked in recruitment. I studied business and management at University of Sussex. And always wanted to go into a people-focused role, and found it very hard to get into HR without experience. So started off working at a recruitment agency, which wasn't for me, but did give me an awful lot of skills, gained the experience, then move into in-house recruitment within HR teams, and kind of progressed from there ever since.
No, that's lovely. Thank you. And Karen?
Great, thank you. Quite different from Emma, so definitely we both work, in recruitment. But my background is very much in education. So I work at Explore Learning. If you have heard of us, you might live near one of our centres. That's usually how people find out about us. We've got, I think it's 97 physical centres around the UK, and we also have a number of online-only teams now as well. We're just over 10 of those, and that's kind of where we're growing the most at the moment. And essentially, we offer tuition at our centres to children, so it's children between the ages of 4 and 14. So the roles that we have available are very much tutors who work directly with those children. They're people that bring learning to life. But I also hire managers for our centres. There's a couple of different types of managers that you can be as well. And my background has actually I've gone on a little bit of a sort of tangent. So right now I do work in recruitment. I work in the attraction side of things. So my job is to go out, spread the word about what we do at Explore, hopefully find some top talent for us. But before that, I did actually work more in what we call the selection side of recruitment. So once someone's applied, I would do basically managing the whole process, hold their interviews, make sure they've got everything they need. That's what I did before. But before that, I was actually a manager at Explore Learning. So I did the job that I now recruit for a couple of years. And before that, I was a teacher for 4 years. So I did do a PGCE at Brighton Uni quite a few years ago now. And before that, my degree was English Lit and Philosophy. So not something you would immediately think of when it comes to teaching, but that does seem to be the way when it's a secondary PGCE that you do. So yeah, I've kind of gone on a little bit of a tangent and ended up in recruitment. And I think that's where I'm now going to stay. So I'm in a in-house recruitment position at the moment. But hopefully if anyone's got any specific questions about education as well, I might be able to hopefully help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And what did you teach?
Religious studies actually was what I trained in, but I ended up getting poached by English as well. So I ended up being a combination English and religious studies teacher, mainly because I did that dual degree. So I could do both, which was quite nice.
Oh, lovely. So kind of like the first thing that we're going to kind of discuss is, what did you do straight after university? So if we kind of cast our minds back to maybe the June or July time, I know, Karen, you said you kind of went into further study. Then after your master's, your PGCE, kind of what did you both do then? Did you jump straight into the workplace? Did you take a couple of months off to recover? Karen, if we go back to you first.
Yeah, I very much did jump straight in, and it's something where, I think more than ever, experience is very valuable now, and I think especially in the world of education, it can be quite difficult to get experience working with children, but there are lots of different roles out there that you can do. But I very much jumped straight in, so I got my role at the school for the September. So luckily, because of education and being, working in a school, I did get my summer, but that was it, and then it was straight into work.
And do you think that was kind of beneficial, or would you do anything differently if you were to go back?
To be honest, it's quite difficult when you do a PGCE to take much of a break, because you do have a certain time limit that you have to kind of achieve that first year of teaching. I think it's within 2 years of completing your PGCE. So some people do take a gap year, but I suppose just to be on the safe side, you're probably this was probably about 10 years ago, so I'm not sure if it's exactly the same now. But I know that there is still a limit on time, that once you've done that PGCE, you haven't got qualified teacher status at that point. It's only after you've been teaching for a year that you can achieve QTS. So they usually advise you the sooner the better to just, get in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Emma, kind of, what did you do straight out of uni?
Yeah, the same, straight into it. I remember getting the call about my job offer on the same day as my graduation. So I think I had a week maybe after
Wow.
graduation before I started. But yeah, I don't think I'd change anything. I think it was, as you said, Karen, really good to just kind of get the experience, and the experience was really, really valuable. I think at the time, a lot of my friends were going for the big graduate schemes, that, the big famous ones that everyone's heard of. And I felt a little bit bad that, I hadn't got a place on one of those. And I was thinking, that's what graduate schemes are there for. That's what graduates go on to do. So I guess if I can give any advice to you all on the call, it's that it's not the be all and end all, and there are kind of other routes, and people work their way up from the bottom, as it were, and that is just as valuable, and you learn a lot in that time, learning the ropes in those kind of entry level junior positions. And it's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and I've turned out okay, I think.
And I know you said you kind of went straight into recruitment, but rather an recruitment agency than kind of working in one of like a top firm. Was there kind of a reason that you chose not to go for a graduate scheme when you was in third year, or was that just kind of what happened?
It was kind of a bit of what happened. I think it's I found that unless you knew exactly what you wanted to go into, and I used to work at Lidl, so I used to help out with a lot of their graduate schemes. So if you know that you want to go into something like logistics or supply chain or buying or something like that, great, you've kind of got a bit of a route there for you. But for me, I just knew that I wanted to work with people, and doing business at uni, I really enjoyed all of the organizational behavior and leadership and human resources management. And so I was like, I want to get into HR. I didn't have enough experience a lot of the time to qualify for the HR grad schemes or to get into an entry level HR role. So for me, it was kind of the kind of easy option, if I'm very honest, was to kind of go into a recruitment agency, but gain those skills that then helped me move into more of the kind of role that I wanted to do.
No, I can completely relate to that. I remember when I was in my final year of university, it got to like January, and in our group chats, all my friends were putting in like, "Oh, I've just got the news. I've got my graduate scheme. I've got my graduate scheme." And I was like, "Oh, I don't have a graduate scheme.
Yeah.
Am I going to be okay?" And again, as you said, I've turned out okay in the end. But for me, it was just something that kind of happened naturally, very similar in the way of I knew I wanted to work with people, and very much just had to kind of, it was like the process of an elimination. I got one job and was like, this one isn't quite right, and then another one, this isn't quite right, and then luckily we've got to here, and I love this one, so, which I'm sure you'll both agree with both of your jobs. So kind of whilst you were at university, did you kind of do anything extracurricular that helped with kind of what you're doing now? Like, were you part of any societies or anything like that?
I wasn't in particular. No, I was quite big into sports, so I think that's, although it's not, you know, something that you typically think of as gaining experience, I think even playing in teams, playing sport, I think gives you so many additional skills, like, you know, teamwork and leadership and things like that. So yeah, I wasn't part of any societies, but yeah, sport was my thing.
Yeah,
I definitely did the classic of having like multiple part-time jobs that I did while I was at university. So probably spent a little bit more time on that than my course at times. But I definitely did the classic thing I think that happens to a lot of people that do want to go into teaching, where I left it quite last minute to look into getting experience working with children. So I remember I actually had to go to the careers service at my university and essentially ask them, you know, what can I do at this point and how can I get this work experience, because it's not always easy. A lot of them are on a voluntary basis, and schools, you know, often have certain time frames that you've got to apply to do things like that. But luckily I managed to get myself onto something that the uni actually arranged with local schools, where I went in, I think it was once or twice a week for a couple of hours to a local primary school. So I managed to get the amount of actual, you know, time spent in, so that I could apply for my PGC and get in, because they usually do require a certain amount of working with children. So I left that a little bit short notice, but it was all worked out in the end.
No, that's brilliant. So kind of on the topic of the things that you did after university, what options do both of your organisations offer for graduates? Is it kind of just like a graduate scheme, or do you offer placements? Do you offer just jobs? So we go to kind of Emma first.
Yeah. So ours is an interesting one. So we've got a bit of a different model to typical companies. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we're a data, AI, and cloud consultancy, and we exist to bridge the digital skills gap. So there's obviously loads of companies out there who need people that have skill sets within AI or within cloud engineering, but the skill sets just aren't there. So where we come in is to deliver those skill sets to those big companies. So, you know, we work with companies like HSBC, Deliveroo, Jaguar Land Rover, some really, really big names, and we help them future-proof their organizations. So what we do is those 800 people that we recruit every year, we bring them in and we train them up for 15 weeks. We have 5 different streams, all to do with data and AI and cloud engineering, really, really cool stuff. During that 15 weeks, you'll train in all the latest tools and technologies, everything that there is to know in those areas to become a fully fledged consultant. And then you'll go on to work on some really, really engaging, really cool client projects for some of those big names that I talked about. So that's kind of our big offering. So it's a little bit like a graduate scheme, I guess, but it's more of a bridge between university and starting your career. So it's not like starting on day one and kind of being thrown straight into it. You come into a learning environment for 15 weeks. And you're learning all of the technologies, but we'll also help you with things like stakeholder management and understanding requirements from your stakeholders, presentation skills. You'll work on real life projects. So it's just helping you transition into a career, and then giving you some really, really good opportunities for the next couple of years while you work on client site. We obviously have a business that makes all of that tick as well. So we're always recruiting in our HQ. I'm always looking for additional recruiters as well. As we get bigger and bigger, we're always looking to hire more people, which means that I need a bigger team. So yeah, we have other opportunities as well. If you know the world of data and technology isn't necessarily for you, there are other options, and we recruit all year round as well. So there's always opportunities to join our training streams and to join our HQ as well.
For us, we have essentially it's jobs really. A few years ago, we did used to kind of have it as a more of a graduate scheme, but ultimately now they are jobs. And the most common one is to be an assistant manager of one of our learning centres. So that's something that's definitely, you know, a fresh graduate could do that. You don't really need any specific, I suppose, experience, but it is really helpful if you've had any sort of customer service, working with children. Those things are going to be particularly useful, I suppose. And then the second second role is called a centre lead. So all of our centres have at least 2 managers. One of them at least will be the assistant manager, and the second one will be the centre lead. So it is a bit of a promotion. So that's for someone who essentially has probably had, 1 or 2 years where they've been working in, I suppose, a bit of a management position, leadership position. They've got that little bit more experience. But most commonly within the company, people start as an assistant manager and then they become a centre manager. It's often around about a year that takes, so it's quite fast actually that you get that promotion. After that, there are actually lots of different routes you can take. So I suppose similar to Emma, we have lots of, we call them kind of behind the scenes roles, support roles. So, recruitment is of course an example of that. We've got a big HR department, a big curriculum department, marketing. So there's lots of people that work behind the scenes in roles. And, I was someone that came in thinking I was very, education is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And quite quickly, because I started doing some recruitment in my manager role, I learned that recruitment was actually very well suited to me. And then I've kind of gone on that little tangent. And that does happen a lot at Explore. I think we've got about 80-something% of our support roles, the behind the scenes roles, they've actually come from people who've worked as managers at our centres. So it's a popular route to be promoted, but we also have other ways to get promoted as well. So people become regional managers. After that, it's a performance director. So there's different routes you can take to essentially have a career if you want to. And obviously something I kind of hate to say as a recruiter, that annoyingly we do also offer just excellent, experience development. There's lots of skills that are gained through our roles. There's kind of a lot of business, a lot of customer service involved in the manager roles. So unfortunately, we do have the issue that we train people and offer them excellent development, and then they go off and get amazing jobs, elsewhere, which we wish them best of luck. But sometimes we do only manage to hold on to people for a couple of years. They gain that experience and off they go. And, to a certain extent, great, it's a great way to gain experience as well, especially in education. If you are looking to work with children but not in a classroom setting, we're a kind of good example of that.
No, that sounds brilliant. And do either kind of Kubrick or Explore Learning, do they offer, I'm trying to find the right way to word this, like any insight days or like experience or anything like this that's online? So if students do want to kind of know a little bit more about the roles and things that there is available, is there anything kind of that the organisations offer for that?
Yeah, I mean, we don't do any kind of work experience or internship type things at the moment. Something that we're looking into though. So who knows what the future holds. We do have a load of videos though on our YouTube channel, which I know if you don't know a lot about data and cloud and all of those strange terms, there's some really good explainer videos on there that might just be helpful if you want to find out a bit about different kinds of industries, different kinds of careers, and it's real people. So real people that have been through our training, that are consultants. You can follow their kind of career journeys and what made them choose Kubrick, what made them choose data, what they like about it. So yeah, that's a really good resource just to get a bit more information.
We're the same in the sense that we don't really have kind of insight days. We've never really been able to get work experience down. We've tried in the past, but it's quite difficult, obviously, in a child, a setting with children. Things like DBSs come into play. And to be honest, we've got quite a large recruitment team now that usually the best way to find out more about what we do is essentially to just get in contact. We usually just call people and speak on the phone. It's maybe a bit old school these days. And we do have videos on our YouTube, but we actually are in the process of getting lots of new things made since the pandemic, because things have changed a little bit in our offering and what we kind of do. So that's something that's hopefully coming a little bit later this summer. But we've very recently started to offer placements. So if people are at university and they are looking for a role to do as a placement year, that is actually something we now offer. But of course, it's a little bit more long term than kind of an insight day or work experience. You usually would be there for kind of 9 to 12 months doing that.
No, that's brilliant. And obviously, this is a Target Jobs webinar. If you do go on to Target Jobs and search either Kubrick or Explore Learning, there's lots more kind of insights into both of the organisations. There's probably some articles on there, and any of the available opportunities that both organisations have will be on the Target Jobs website as well. So just an extra resource for anybody that's considering kind of looking into either of them. So kind of going on now to maybe something that, I mean, none of us have done on here. If somebody was to take a gap year and they were to maybe go traveling or do something that's not work for a year, with you both working in recruitment, how would you advise students then coming back at this time? Like, they graduated in 2021, they've been away for the year, they've come back, they're getting ready to start in September. How would you kind of advise students to mention that experience that they've gained, and what soft skills do you think that they should be putting down on applications?
We talk a lot about things like, resilience. I know it sounds silly, but anyone who does go off, travel, do their own thing, there is a certain amount of resilience built in that. And I think pretty much any role that you apply for, that kind of problem solving, resilience, being able to sort of think on your feet, is very valuable. And there is a certain amount of I suppose maturity that you can associate with that. So even though on a gap year, yes, you are, you're probably not sitting at a desk on your laptop doing hardcore work or anything like that at any point. You are still growing as a person. You are learning from those experiences. So I'm sure there's lots of different things that you could kind of showcase through that experience that would be very valuable to a team, and to kind of contribute to that team as well.
Yeah, and I think problem solving is a really key one, actually, because I think loads of things that you might do on a gap year, whether it is traveling, whether it's helping your friends set up a business, whatever it might be, you're probably going to have come up against some challenges, and you're probably going to have solved some problems, and that's something that we look for. We don't need people to have any experience coming into our roles. We'll give you that 15 weeks worth of training, but we do look for people that can use their initiative and can solve problems, that can obviously be organised, which again, you're probably going to have been organising different things while you've had your time off. I think you mentioned kind of teamwork as well, Karen. So yeah, working with other people, collaboration is really, really important for us as well. So definitely loads of soft skills that you'll have developed, whether you know it or not, on your gap years. I think it's just a case of taking a step back and thinking about it in that way, and really what you have developed in that time.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you, Emma. So just on the note of that, we have seen a question that's come in from one of the students watching. So Samson has asked, what is the possibility of getting a placement in the IT or tech industry without prior knowledge or background in IT? So I know you said kind of Kubrick is kind of like a data and cloud AI consultancy. Do you hire people that aren't from kind of a computing background?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what we focus on, to be honest. So people that have studied things like computer science and those very technical degrees, they're probably going to find their way into the industry anyway. So what we exist for is to help people who wouldn't necessarily think to come and join us. We help upskill those people and get into the industry. So yeah, we pride ourselves on recruiting people who have little to no experience or knowledge of data or of cloud or whatever stream it is that you're applying for, as long as you've got an interest in it, and you kind of got that passion and enthusiasm for it. That's what we look for, above and over any kind of experience.
Brilliant. And just while I'm looking through the questions now from the students, if anybody else has any questions at all, do pop them in the question tab and we will get round to answering them all. So Matt has asked, they want to do a year abroad, but they're concerned about grad schemes only being offered for like recent graduates. if somebody has graduated in, say, 2021, are your roles open for people that have got a degree but aren't necessarily just graduating, or is it just kind of graduates you'd be looking for?
Yeah, we're very open. So most we hire, it's not just recent graduates that we hire at all. It's junior professionals. We've had people that have been teachers actually, that have wanted, they might have been a maths teacher, and they're like, this isn't for me, but I really like numbers, and I want to get into data, and they've kind of come over and transitioned their career really. So we've had people like that, and yeah, we have a lot of people that go off, take a year out, or go and work for their friend's business, or whatever the situation is, and then come back and join us. So there's not a time limit, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it's exactly the same for us. We have a lot of people where it's their second job. They might have actually graduated a few years ago. Some people are graduated yesterday. We actually also accept people that don't have degrees. If you have relevant experience in other things, that you can lean on, we just as valuable for us. So it shouldn't make a difference at all with us.
That's absolutely brilliant. So we've got two other questions as well. They're quite similar, so I'm going to pop them kind of to you both together. So somebody's asked about health-related degrees, and then somebody else has asked, where has it gone? They're doing kind of international business and management. So I know, Emma, you were saying you kind of take kind of any degrees as long as they've got like a little bit of an interest in kind of computing, then you will take them. Karen, do you kind of have any requisites for what degree that they're studying or interests?
Yeah, so it's none in terms of degree. You can come from any degree background whatsoever, but we're kind of, it's very similar to what Emma said actually, in the sense of we're looking for your passion. So if you have passion for working within the education sector, in a kind of business setting, customer service, they're the things that we're looking for, and we think they can come from any background really when it comes to a degree. Obviously, I suppose there are some degrees that might be slightly more relevant than others, but I think a lot of roles now are actually very kind of diverse in what you're doing in your day to day. So if it's not a very specifically vocational role, then probably any degree route will have really relevant skills that they can bring with them. So any degree at all for us.
Brilliant. And then we've got another question that's come in. All the questions are coming in now. We've started to answer them. Someone has asked if there's any opportunities for, where's it gone? Looking for like part-time opportunities for them to then kind of transition into more of a full-time role. Are there any opportunities with either of your organisations kind of along the part-time route?
In our HQ, not right now that I can think of off the top of my head, but from time to time we'll have roles like that. Obviously, wouldn't be on the training side. It would be really difficult to do our training part-time because it's so intensive and there's so much to cover. But yeah, in our HQ, we try and do as much as we can to be flexible. So there's definitely some roles that we can have part-time, or we can have a job share or something like that.
Our most popular role is a part-time role. You can probably guess what it might be from what we do, but our tutors are part-time. The vast majority of them are actually university students that work with us, and we actually have like an internal pipeline to our manager roles. So we have a lot of tutors that they're gaining that experience while they are studying, and then as soon as they graduate, they get started as a manager with us. So they have a kind of slightly different recruitment process to everyone else, but they've also gained really valuable experience. So they know the business inside out. They are our tutors. So for us, they are great candidates for that manager role. And you can do that role online if you don't actually live or go to university that's near one of our centres. But most people do, we do have essentially any big city, we do have the centres there, so most of the time universities aren't too far away from one, and it works quite well with your student timetable as well, because the kids have their sessions after school sort of time and then at the weekend. So as long as you can do maybe 2 shifts a week, then you're kind of set. So it's very, very valuable experience for people, we like to think. I also have a lot of fun. It's fun working with children as well.
No, that's perfect. And then kind of along the lines of being part-time, somebody has said that they're going into third year, they're studying law. So they'll be going into their final year in September. When should they start considering applying for kind of opportunities?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We get asked that quite a lot. So we do recruit all year round. I think some companies have kind of set recruitment periods each year for graduate schemes. We don't stop. So we're a very busy recruitment team. I would say if you're looking to start in July time next year, or August even, it's probably towards the end of this year. I'd probably start looking to get your application in. We usually say about 6 months before, but at the moment we are very, very popular, so we're starting to fill up. We're even hiring people into sort of April, May time next year already. So yeah, no need to do anything right now for us, but yeah, towards the end of the year, think about getting your applications in.
Yeah, we're the same. We also have, we call it Evergreen Recruitment, where we just recruit the whole year round. But I do know that, you know, especially I suppose probably more so for kind of graduate schemes, they do often have a kind of a term time. They usually start kind of around about late September, October, where they start opening things up for people to apply. And it can vary company by company, but sometimes once they're kind of happy with the numbers of applications they've got, they can kind of close them down. So I would say, you know, start having a little look at, especially if there's any kind of big names or any types of roles that you're particularly interested in. It's always good to start, you know, seeing what's sort of out there in that kind of original term time. But saying that, usually a lot of companies open things up again in kind of end of January, February, to get a sort of another cohort going. So it's definitely worth having a little look, I would say, when you are going into that final year. But there will be lots of companies just like, you know, ours that do just recruit the whole year round. So I don't think you would be too late if you left it, you know, anyway.
No, that's brilliant. And then I think, Emma, this is more a question for you. So Joseph has said they are good at CAD designing. I'm going to presume that you know what that means.
I know a little bit, yeah.
And they've done many courses in kind of software, but they're at the minute they're studying automotive engineering, and they don't actually really have any experience in that. So what they're studying, they don't have experience in, and what they have experience in, they aren't studying. Would you kind of take a student like that, and would you suggest including that private experience in their application form?
Yeah, so we would definitely accept that application. We see a lot of people from kind of engineering backgrounds tends to work really, really well. It's one of the really common degree types that we see coming through. And I guess for us, you don't need to have had the applied experience. Obviously, if you want to go into automotive engineering or that very specific kind of engineering that you're studying, then yeah, maybe you would need to get some of that experience. But for us, because you'd kind of be shifting a little bit, we get a lot of chemical engineering type degrees. Then yeah, it's absolutely fine. We'll teach you all of the skills that you need to know. It's great if you've got you've taught yourself some of the technical skills. We have people that have self-taught themselves Python and SQL and text like that, and that's great. But we don't need you to have got loads of experience in those areas. That's fine.
No, that's brilliant. And then kind of finally on the questions, I don't think many more have come in. We've got on here, where's it gone? There's so many questions coming, I can't find them now. Where is it? This is the bonus of being online. So somebody has said or asked, how would they go about applying or indicating interest with either of the organisations?
Yeah, so you can go on, all of our applications are online, so you can go onto our website and you'll see the application form on there. There's also a load of information, so if you do want to just have a bit of a read through and also have a look at our different streams as well. So we have 5 different areas that you can go into. Some are slightly more technical than others, so it depends where you feel you're best suited, and yeah, you can apply online. And it's quite easy. Just give us some basic information and you'll be put through to the recruitment team.
Yeah, we're exactly the same. We do actually get a lot of people that go into our centres with like a physical CV, but unfortunately it is all online now. So if you go on the Explore Learning website, you'll be able to see under the kind of tab that there's a careers section. Once again, loads of information, probably too much information on the website for you to go through. And then essentially, yeah, the application's on there. It allows you to see as well, what centres have got vacancies, what the vacancies are. So it's kind of a little candidate portal that you can create your own login on.
That's brilliant. And then this is a really great question, actually. Do you have any advice for postgraduate students looking for a job? And then the second part of the question was, does age and nationality play a role in recruitment decisions? And I think maybe we could add on to that, like right to work as well.
Yeah, so definitely age and nationality will not play an impact at all. We have certain protected characteristics in the UK as well that we just simply would not have as a factor. Right to the UK, though, to work in the UK does factor in with us. So we're not able to sponsor anyone, unfortunately. So you do have to be able to kind of legally work within the UK. And we also actually have it that even if you work remotely with us, you do need to do so from the UK. Some companies will be different with that, so it's definitely worth asking a particular company. Some are able to kind of make it work, but at the moment we're not. But in terms of postgraduate students, it's something for us where we have a really big range really in the people that apply for our roles, and we have people who have worked in kind of teaching for 10 years. They've done different postgraduate things. It wouldn't really factor in. Of course, it's probably going to be an advantage for you that you've got some sort of postgraduate qualification there. So it'd be a great thing. So definitely something for you to kind of keep on your application. Speak about it as much as possible, and it would be, I think, a real plus for probably most companies if you've got any sort of postgraduate qualification.
Yeah, definitely. I think just to add on to that, it's the same for us. While we don't look specifically for postgraduate degrees, it's not by any means a requirement. It's not going to hurt your application. I think sometimes we do get applications from people who have studied a lot of the content that we would train you in. So if you've done a master's in something like artificial intelligence or data science, a lot of the time we will probably say that this probably isn't going to be the right route for you, because you'll have done a lot of we'll just be teaching you the same things, but we have other opportunities kind of further down the line once you've gone on within that area, developed some experience in data science, and we have more senior consultancy roles that you could come back and join us in.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. So I think that is all of the questions answered. So I think probably the last and most important question really is for anybody who has just graduated. I know July is normally the month of the caps and gowns all over social media. The students that have kind of just graduated, do you have anything live at the moment that students can go and have a look at?
Yeah. So as I think we've both said, we recruit all year round. So yeah, we're nearly full for summer, but we still have plenty of availability for our training cohorts that are starting from September onwards. But yeah, we do have a few spaces left for August if anyone is really keen and wanting to start as soon as possible. We're recruiting across all of our streams, apart from machine learning. At the moment, that's the one that is full until next April. But we're recruiting in data product, which is sort of a technical business analyst stream. We're recruiting in data management, which is more of data governance. So we get a lot of people that have studied things like politics and law that go into those areas. We have data engineering, which is a little bit more technical. So usually we have people from STEM degrees that have studied maths or engineering is a really good one for that stream. And we also have cloud, which is my favourite. It's all about digital transformation. Anybody can apply for that stream, and it really is where where the future is. So yeah, very, very open on that. You just need to be open to learning new technologies. But we're recruiting across all. So yeah, if you are ready to get started, then you'll be able to find lots of opportunities with us.
Yeah, we're the same. If anything, the summer is actually our most popular time for recruiting. If we do have movement and people do progress or leave, it's often to do with education. So it means that the summer is a popular time for change to happen. So we have both assistant manager and centre lead roles across a lot of different areas actually in the UK. If you go on our website, you're able to see the kind of specifics. But even if an area you're looking for isn't listed on there, you can still apply, and we can tell you obviously predictions of when we think a role might come up. Sometimes we actually get people started early, so we get them as kind of an additional member of staff in an area, so there's still potential of you getting started anyway. So if you are looking for a role, then definitely the careers website, just apply, and then someone will be able to give you a call and kind of explain what roles we've got available right now.
No, that's brilliant. So hopefully any students tuning in that are interested, fingers crossed for you all, come September. But thank you very much both to Emma and Karen for joining us today. I think I've found it very insightful, so hopefully the students have as well. I have just had a quick look actually as well on the Target Jobs website, and as of this second, there are 441 open roles. So if you have graduated and you're still not sure what you want to do, go on and have a little look at some positions that we've got open at the moment. They will include the positions that Karen and Emma have described to us today. And then there's also lots of advice articles and things as well on there about if you want to do a year abroad and the soft skills that you'll get from traveling, or if you want to do a year volunteering and the soft skills that you'll get from that, and how to transform that experience on your application forms in order to bag the role that you want. But yeah, that's kind of everything from us today. Thank you very much for taking time out of your day to tune in, and hopefully we will see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.